The Wall Street Journal published a fascinating article a couple days ago, and the gist of it was America's mobility is stalling. And in the article, they discuss how Americans are moving less, buying fewer homes, changing jobs less frequently. And it just talks about the consequences, not only to America's dynamicism, but also the impact on real estate. And so let's look at a little bit of the data, because I think you'll find this really interesting. And it starts with, in the 1950s and 60s, roughly 20% of Americans moved each year. Isn't that remarkable? In the 50s and 60s, 1 out of 5 Americans moved every year. But by 2019, that number was down to just below 10%, where it was 9.8%. So in that 50 years, the number of Americans moving every year dropped in half. And then in 2023, only 7.8% of Americans moved in any one year. And that was the lowest level since they've been keeping record since 1948. And that is incredible, right? And so the amount that Americans are moving has really slowed down, as we know. And it's not hard to figure out why, by the way. And the article points out a few reasons. One, homeowners are locked into really low interest rates. Many of them have interest rates starting with a 3 or a 4, and they're just not willing to switch to a rate at 6.5 for a more expensive house. Another reason why people aren't moving is because with more and more two-income households, it's harder to get both income earners to be able to move cities. It's harder to transfer jobs when two people are working. And then, of course, now part of the reason why people moved so often before was to find work. But today, with so much work done remotely, you don't have to move to get a job in a different city or even a different state or even a different country. You can still do that job from where you live. And so it starts to become wherever you have community, you have family support, you have a great cost of living. If you can earn a lot more and stay at a really inexpensive place, it's great. And then another reason is that as employees move less, as more and more employees have really strong golden handcuffs with stock packages and benefits and all these vested perks, it ties them to their current job, which makes them less likely to move. And so people are just, as they move jobs less, as they don't have to seek more income, they stay put, they don't move as much. And so the result is that, as we know, is that growing families can't upsize, right? They're not moving from the smaller home to the bigger home. And the journal article cites a couple families where a couple had bought a starter house and had a kid, and that was okay. They thought they were going to move and have more kids. They had 2 more kids, and now they have 5 people living in a 1-bedroom house, and they just don't know how to move. And the same thing for empty nesters that want to downsize. Even when an empty nester, quite a few empty nesters own their homes free and clear, which means they don't have to worry about interest rates, but they do have to worry about, the inventory that's for sale. They're able to find homes that they want. So empty nesters haven't been able to downsize. First-time home buyers, of course, we know are struggling, to get into the market as the percentage of first-time home buyers is dropping. We know affordability is an issue now. The latest number is something like, DTI is at 39% right now, which is at a historic high. We know all that kind of stuff. So the gist is, though, there is a market out there. It's a very, I don't want to say weak, it's a very finicky market. You got to go find it. You got to find the family that has 3 kids and living in a 1-bedroom house, and you got to show them how they can move. You have to show them how it works. You have to educate them. You have to get past their fear. By the way, all this is things that AI can't do. So welcome the challenge to help, be the Sherpa to help people lead them to the outcomes they need, and they can have a better outcome. They don't have to, our grandparents don't have to live in big houses that they can't upkeep, and these starter families don't have to live in starter homes. We can help, navigate them, if we just can do great education, and so let's make sure that we target those people that are having those type of life events. And then for other people, maybe it's not moving from town to town, it's moving from one side of town to the other side of town. And that's the opportunity. Let me show you the article really quick. Here you go. Here's that. Here's the article. There's two charts in here. The chart that I like that you might want to use if you're doing home buyer seminars, if you're doing newsletters. This is a share of America's moving annually. You can see how it's gone from 1995 to today. If you go back to 1950, it's that's twice as much movement, because remember, it's even more. So I really like this one. It's a good article. You may or may not be able to access the article. I think Wall Street Journal allows 1 or 2 free articles a month. If you can't access the article, ping me in my DMs or get a hold of me however you can, and I'll make sure I get you a copy of the article, whether I gift it to you or get it to you some other way. But I think this is pretty interesting. I think it's pretty interesting information. It's certainly something that we should be talking to our clients about. It's certainly something we can use as a strategic point to go target those people that might be stuck in those places, to try to help them, upsize or downsize. With that, I hope you're off to a great day. I really appreciate you giving me some of your time. I look forward to talking to you again soon. Thanks so much.